All right. Let's get it. Ooh. It's 2-2-2. All right. So, question number 1. Freestyle?
Freestyle, let's go. Oh, I'm gonna freestyle?
Yeah, you freestyle. Yeah,
you
yeah.
want me to bust a rhyme?
It's 2-3rd. That's what we do.
Oh, you're cracking me up. I don't think you can get wider than me, son.
Hey, it's worth a try. You never know. You might do it. Every now and then.
Let's see here. Canna Breezy got the smell under control.
Oh, well, hey, you came in with some hot. I don't know. Hey, it kind of shocked me. I didn't expect for you to come in like that. I almost wanted to pick it up. I was like, hold on.
So there's no better way to roll.
Hey, cause Canna Breezy is the way to go. Oh, and that's for sure. Cause y'all already know.
That big O.
That's right.
Is gone.
Hey.
Nobody got to know what you done did.
But they're going to know today because it's the Too T3rpd podcast. And it's your boy Donovan, a.k.a. Mr. You knew what it was when you signed up.
My man.
That's right. All right. So we got a special guest in the building. So shout out to the Flower Expo St. Louis today.
Yes, sir.
I was able to go out. They gave me a media pass today. And I didn't know what to expect out of this. So I was able to meet a couple of cool vendors, but I was able to meet an amazing individual. We ended up just started. As a matter of fact, shout out to Cuz Mike Franchise.
Yo, Mike.
He was ear hustling a little bit, and he happened to hear you speaking on your product that you're actually here to talk about today. And he saw you spraying some folks, and he was like, "What? Hold on, man. What you got going on over there? We gotta go look at this." So he grabbed me and said, "Let's go check this out real quick." And so then we got Derek giving us a display of Canna Breezy. So he was over there giving everybody the sample, giving them the marketing spiel. Like the
demo.
That's right. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So we ended up having a conversation, and even before I tested the product, I got to know Derek, and I was like, hold on. He's a solid dude. So as solid as he is, his product got to be lit too. So then I did get to test it, and I realized, okay, so not only is he real, but this product is real too. So let's get to it. Let me introduce you to Derek. I'm afraid to say your last name.
Stucki.
Derek Stucki, a.k.a. Canna Breezy, in the building.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you see that live studio audience out there, you know?
Thank you.
You already know, you know.
You know what? I am very grateful to be here. I'm very grateful to have met you. We were discussing serendipities earlier, and I think that life is full of opportunities that occur because you're intentional. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so when you're intentional, you make space for something to happen. And here we are.
That's a fact.
It's good.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you for that great introduction.
No, thank you.
So what would you like to know? Where shall we start?
Let's start with the Canna Breezy brand to start with.
Sure.
Because what even got you into wanting to sell or even wanting to come up with Canna Breezy? Honestly.
So first of all,
let's let Canna
Breezy?
Right?
Let's
the words right out of my mouth.
Start.
That's
Canna
right.
Breezy, let me borrow that from you, sir.
For sure.
Is an odorless odor eliminator, which sounds rather mysterious and probably is. In fact, if we ever get to meet face to face, my demonstration of the product to you will be, let me spray it on your hand. What does it smell like? What did it smell like?
Nothing.
Water.
That's right.
If water has a smell. And then I'll have you touch some very fragrant flower that I carry in a can and get the odor on your finger. Smell your finger. Now you have a source of odor, and I ask you to hold it out. I will spray this onto your finger and ask you to smell it. And what did you smell?
Nothing. Well, water.
Wait, what? So it's odorless, but when it got onto the smell of cannabis on your finger, it
eliminated the smell.
100%.
Yeah.
And then you saw me spray it in my mouth,
Yeah.
which freaked everybody out.
That's when it got wild. I was like, what this man doing?
And it's very effective because the truth is the chemical process that you witness by seeing that smell disappear from your finger is the same thing that happens when it rains. And you've been outside after rain and said, smells so clean, right? So we literally stole God's recipe. Sorry, God. I guess he shares. I don't know.
Yeah.
And put it in a bottle. And this product will eliminate by oxidation every single organic molecule that exists on the planet.
That's fire. I like that.
Wait until you try it in the bathroom. It will blow your mind. Many have been the wives who have thanked me.
That's right. Hey, an organic potpourri.
Well, see, now, thanks for saying that, because potpourri, besides the fact it covers up odor in a bowl, it's a fragrance.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't know this. I learned it recently. It was shocking that when you inhale a fragrance, that has to process through your liver. And, you know, my livers have enough problem already.
Exactly.
Throw more things at it, right? So if you can eliminate odor odorlessly and safely, so safe that it's just like rain, that's winning.
Then you're good to go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's real.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with this? Are you getting that feedback? Or is it breaking up on you?
Sounds clear on my side.
Okay. So then it must be my headphones or something. I'm not sure.
Code 18.
Nah, for real. Man. Having something going on, man. Wow.
Gremlins.
I gotta show you those gremlins later. That's a whole nother topic.
That's another topic altogether. We'll put that with the aliens and all that other stuff.
That's a fact. Okay. So how did you end up coming up with Canna Breezy?
Well, I cannot tell you that I did come up with Canna Breezy. In fact, it's God's recipe. But how did we find it?
Yes.
And how did we deploy it? The
Yes.
story is interesting because the company, and by the way, I need to tell you that this product is simply rebranded from the product I sold to landfills and wastewater treatment and all sorts of very bad smelling stuff. So I'm happy to work with cannabis. It smells much better.
Different type of dirty job.
One that I like.
That's right.
So how did we come up with it? It's interesting because the company didn't set out to make an odor control product. They set out to learn the various applications of the active ingredient. And I cannot tell you what it is because my business partner will kill me. There's a story there. I'm out. I did. So let's get back to the story. The scientist in charge of research, his dad was in an end-of-life care facility eaten up with bed sores. Heartbreaking. He wondered what he could do. And then he thought, because iodine is the study that the company surrounds itself with, maybe the iodine could work. So he literally put crystals of iodine into felt pads, yay by yay, sent a bunch to where his dad was, and the doctor called shortly after, I don't know how long, and told him, you've given your dad 7 years of life and quality because all those sores regranularize. That's what iodine does. It causes cells to regrow. And they all sealed up and healed up. And that's a beautiful thing.
That is. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then we fell into odor control quite by accident, and here I am.
But you're still practicing medicinal practices because this is very non-toxic. Like, you're really about the health side of this. That's why you made it fragrance-free and you made it with all natural products. So
it is 100% nature in a bottle. In fact, there's a little video on YouTube if you ever find it, and it compares this with rain because it literally is the same makeup as rain. And so the official story, let me tell you that, we call what we use in here as it's seaweed extract, because in the natural cycle of the I didn't say the word. plant life in the ocean, off gases it into the water, which evaporates the clouds. Clouds then get charged with electricity. It rains. And we say, it smells so clean. But then that goes back into soil and back eventually to the plants, and then it cycles again. It's a natural cycle. Yeah. And it's as healthy as rain and as safe as rain. So I really like my product.
No, that's important. You need to be able to stand by it. There's a lot of people who are just out here pushing something that they're not passionate about. And that's number one in my opinion. We only want to talk to people who really stand by and really are about their brand, who live their brand essentially.
I think that honesty and truth it's not widespread enough. I'm just going to say it that way.
Oh, that's real. That's real.
But for me, these people, the manufacturer said, hey, we're looking for a sales guy. And I responded, and the drive was too far, and the building was unimpressive, and the people were not much better. And I showed me the product, and I saw dollar signs. And so I immediately went to work on the phone selling this product to landfills and wastewater treatment plants. But I got to thinking, how can something that looks and smells and tastes like water? Wait, we didn't do this yet. There you go. And my breath is better than it was a moment ago. How can something that is that benign, how can it actually eliminate the odor we're talking about?
Right.
Now, meanwhile, I walked my dog every night on the same trail. And the night that I asked the question, a skunk showed up and sprayed Bentley, my dog. And I got fresh skunk on my hand. Perfect opportunity to prove this stuff. And I was running home, and I'm not going to use curse words, but I did. That stuff better work, man. And I'm telling you, I sprayed Bentley in my hand, and the skunk was gone.
That's amazing.
At that moment, I said, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's go, baby.
Just a tried and true product right here. Get rid of that skunk. Get rid of anything.
Oh, man. And skunk is such a cloying. It's a sulfur base and it's oil, so it's hard to get rid of it. But as it so happens, this product is excellent at oxidizing sulfur. Sulfur is a problem in all kinds of industry. In fact, wastewater, oil and gas, H2S. Do you watch that crazy show, Landman?
No, I've heard of it, though.
Okay, so there was an episode in the second series, I guess, or whatever. But these guys showed up on a site, and they dropped dead. Some of them dropped dead. And they realized it was H2S, which is hydrogen disulfide. So hydrogen, sulfur, together, that rotten egg smell.
Yeah. You can die from that?
The reason is because it's heavier than air, so it's going to press all the oxygen out of your range to breathe. And so if you're in a low area, there's nothing to do. You just can't breathe, and you drop. Yeah. And there's no recovery.
That's wild. So, like, I didn't realize it was that bad for you, because I remember my great-grandma, she used to have, like, this sulfur mix that she would put on you, like, when you got sores and stuff like that.
A little bit different.
Okay.
So H2S is a volatile organic compound. Okay. And it lives in air, and it's a byproduct of many things. It comes out of the ground with oil and gas. It's also a byproduct of the biodegrading breakdown of sewer and the solids and all the things that happen. The other thing is H2S is very corrosive, so anything still is going to eat it up. It's a bad stuff. It's really bad. So this, again, is going to eliminate H2S. In fact, sadly, the cannabis industry will decline as it currently stands because of the way everything runs. And it's sad to me. Yes. So I love to help weed succeed where I can. But maybe someday weed won't be around to need me. Guess what? If you're a traditional grower, you need me.
That's a fact.
In fact, if you are a consumer of flower, you need this in your car. You need this in your purse.
So, which leads me to my next question.
Yes, sir.
How did Canna Breezy come about? Because you talked about how it started, but how did the actual Canna Breezy, like, how did cannabis start to become an effect, and you realize, like, actually, I could sell this to cannabis people?
Well, I will be very frank and honest. It was purely selfish, I suppose. First, I don't like the smell of that other stuff. I promise you, there were times I had to burn clothes. Even my product wouldn't get the smell of clothes.
Really?
You try traveling on an airplane after being at one of those stinky places and how people go, oh.
I do it all the time.
but that's different. That's flour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is nasty. I mean, nasty. Anyhow, so I saw that cannabis had a need, and I had the solution. It smells better, and of course, there's money to be made. Now, to be frank with you, many companies will take their product and rebrand for cannabis and elevate the prices. Mm-hmm. We didn't do that because we're not here to steal. We're here to help.
That's right.
This industry succeed. So, yeah, of all the options, if you want to talk commercial cannabis odor control, mm-hmm. we are by far the least expensive and the most effective.
Yeah.
I feel good about
that. No, for real, that's solid. Because that's all. I feel like there's a lot of hustle that comes to the cannabis industry, and so when you can actually find people who really are solid and really about the medicinal part of it and really helping, it's a beautiful thing to see, because there are so many people that are just really trying to make a buck out of this. But what I've come to see is those people who do that, they really don't last long.
They don't last.
Yeah. Because
it's not real.
Exactly. So now that we've got into that, we need to discuss these cannabis origins, because you sell Canna Breezy, but do you actually smoke yourself? That's what the people want to know. What's your cannabis story? What made you inspired by the cannabis?
Thank you for that setup, sir.
Sure.
And first of all, qualifier, I'm an old guy, so I have many stories. I'll be brief as I can.
We got a little bit of time.
As a young man,
we got plenty of time.
In fact, in the Navy, I reported to my ship in Pearl Harbor after A school in San Diego, and I showed up and I checked in. My division shipmates immediately caught me and they said, "Hey, dude, are you cool?" I said, "What? What does that mean? You smoke weed?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Follow us." I smoked so much weed on that ship.
Really?
Because our spaces were refrigerated or air conditioned very well. It was old electronic switchboards and nothing was solid state yet. So bleeding off heat was important. Mm-hmm. So you just stand by an exhaust vent, and it's all metal. You can hear people coming 2 decks up. They show up.
That's wild.
So I was doing odor control long before I had a product.
Yo, that's fire, yo.
So I don't want to give the Navy a bad name. I do want to say that I
kind of just gave some brownie points. I don't know if I sign up now. Shit.
You can't get away with that stuff now. This was 1980. It was post-Vietnam, and the military was really kind of a mess, and a lot of the lax attitudes followed. Mm-hmm. Dude, my instructor, E5 in A school, would smoke weed with us.
Yo.
But that's long and far away.
Hey, that's amazing.
So that's how I actually got started in weed. But then after the military, 1983, I landed in Thousand Oaks, California, mm-hmm. and began to attend a local tiny little church pastored by an 89, 90-year-old Sicilian man, beautiful man. And now, as a boy, I'd grown up around my grandparents and missionaries. I have aunts and uncles in the ministry, and I saw how difficult their lives were. And I said to God 3 times, "I'll never be a preacher." Don't ever say never to God.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
You're not going to live that long. So anyway, we got involved in this little local church, literally 12 people. Sweet little situation. Old Brother Maggio fed everybody from his garden. Old Sicilian man. And but they said, "Brother Derek, would you help us out and teach on Wednesday?" And I said, "Okay." A little while later, "Would you help us out and preach on Sunday?" I said, "Okay." And then a little while went by, and old Brother Maggio fell sick on a Sunday morning. We finished church. Everybody went to see him. At this point, he's 91 almost. And he seemed to be fine, right? Everybody went home. And while at home, I was reading something, and the words "be there" literally went off the page. And I looked at my wife, and God had spoken to her. We went to the hospital and walked into the room where old Brother Maggio was. And he was alone in the room. He saw us coming. He reached up and he grabbed my hand with his Parkinson's shake. He said, "Brother Derry, I'm handing it off to you. Go forward." And he fucking died right there.
Really?
That's I live and breathe, brother.
Wow.
So no more pot smoking for the next 2 decades. Fast forward to this product, bringing it from the solid waste industry world to the cannabis world. Mm-hmm. The first year in 2019 when we launched Canna Busters, the commercial brand, this is Canna Breezy, the retail, 36 trade shows. At every single, yeah, we were going, man, hard. At every show, though, one or more people stopped by my booth and said, this plant helped me or somebody I love when they were sick. I said, okay, I'm listening. And then the endocannabinoid system that we all have, head to toe, that research came to light and showed that the cannabinoids in the plant and the system in my body are looking for each other. And I said to myself, if God made my body and God made the plant to click together, I don't see a problem. Yeah. Do you see a problem?
No, not at all.
Thank you.
It sounds like a beautiful combination to me.
Here I am.
I love that, yo. See, that's what I'm talking about. This is the type of stuff that we need to be focused on. You know?
It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the truth will set you free.
That's a fact.
I'm looking for it too.
See, but no, I'm glad you were able to find that balance, though. A lot of people aren't. Mm-hmm. And I feel bad for those people because I feel as though, you know, they're, like you said, they're not fighting their true realities or their truths, you know. So they're sitting up there just having to be uncomfortable for all this time.
Yeah. We've had some deep conversations today and gone into interesting, I guess at the end of the day, our conversations about human nature have really gotten down to the age-old conversation. Is it nature or is it nurture? Or is there something between, apart?
Yeah. I like what you said of all the three. I think there really is a combination of all three at this point.
How many siblings in your family?
That's a good question. Okay, so of my mom, I'm my only. But my dad, I am one of 5.
Okay. I'm also one of 5. Same mom and dad, doesn't matter. How many of those 5 are exactly alike? Not one.
Yeah, no.
Not one. So wait, the same gene pool. Mm-hmm. How am I different from my brother and my sister? You know, the good book, the Bible, which I still love. Don't believe it's all the story, but I love it. Old Testament book says, before I formed you in the womb, God says, I knew you. Wait a minute. If God knew me before I was formed in the womb, then I must have existed before I was formed in the womb.
Yeah.
Which gives you a whole bunch of questions, right?
You know, you really just made me think of something that we didn't, and I'm going to just add this to the conversation. Yeah. I think we haven't added into the fact that the difference is like the time. So even though we're in the same place at the same time, we're experiencing it at different times, whether that be the age. So what you see your parents as, you're able to see them a little bit longer as opposed to your sibling who they've only had this experience with this part of their parents in their lives. They don't know everything that you've been able to see.
Oh, absolutely not.
So I feel like there's so many factors into this. Like, I don't know, that just made me think of that. As you were saying, as you said the sibling thing, I was kind of like, wow, you know, I don't know. That just, they hit me.
Well, my point is that even though we're from the same gene pool, my children, I've got 3 of them. They're all very different.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So where did that happen? Well, it has to do with the fact that, you know, before you showed up as a baby, you were. I mean, God said he knew you.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a whole bunch of questions. I haven't found too many answers yet, but I'm having fun looking for them.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk more about this? Or are we just going to get more metaphysical?
We talk about everything. Yeah. It's Too T3rp, man. That means, that means the weed is working. That's what this is all about.
You do get granular with good weed. Just get into some really great thoughts.
Oh, yeah. And then also, too, I feel as though I like to have these conversations, too, because it's also like you're finding more about the person, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what everybody really looks for. That they want to know your story. Like, what is you? What makes you you? Because that also talks a lot into why you're inspired or why it is what you do. That's what I've come to learn about life, is that you don't ask somebody where necessarily you don't ask them necessarily how they got somewhere. You ask them their background. You actually ask the information that's important. You ask them about their family. You ask them these things. Have you ever heard of The book called The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
I have heard of it, and sadly, I haven't read it. I think I started to. Didn't finish it. Bad on me.
Try to finish that, because I think that's one of those high ones. That's one of those high books, but definitely like that's one of those you tap into. Yeah.
So what is that X factor, right?
It kind of talks about that a little bit.
Good. I'll look at it.
Yeah.
I'll give it a new eye.
For sure. Yeah. All right, now back to Canna Breezy. So, the Canna Breezy, with you smoking all of that, what would you say is your best experience so far with using Canna Breezy and having a weed experience?
It's not my own story, but I love to tell it because it's so heartwarming.
Hell yeah.
5 years ago or so, I was in Utah at a cannabis event, and Utah is very anti. Gave a bottle to a guy there, and later that year at the big event of the year, MJ BizCon in Vegas, he walks up to me at my booth. He says, "You saved my life."
Yeah.
I said, "Huh?" Right? What? He says, "I was driving to go camping. I had some weed in the car, some mushrooms. I was going to have a good time." I said, "I finished a spliff and got pulled over by a Utah State Trooper." So without this, he was going straight to 3 hots and a cot. Right? He was going straight to jail. But he knows that the product works when it makes contact. So let's talk about that real quick.
Yes.
Take a detour.
Yes.
So the way it works, the science is, it's a redox relationship. There's reduction and oxidation. So when this active ingredient touches that VOC, it literally strips out the electron that holds it together. Now it's collapsed into components, carbon, some water, some other stuff. The point is, it will never smell again because it's no longer a terpene or a fecal matter or a. And so all odor is oxidized and eliminated without any downstream fragrance.
Science. I like that.
And honestly, when science reaches up and takes a hold of nature and puts it into the bottle, that's like the pinnacle. That's the zenith of accomplishment in this world. When you can work with what God has given us to put something, harness it to do some really good stuff.
Yeah, have multiple uses.
Yes, sir.
Find the multiple purpose out of one thing. Yeah. Okay, so another question that I have.
Yes, sir.
What would you say? Is your biggest? Who's your biggest consumer of Canna Breezy?
So Canna Breezy is interesting because it's really aimed at that retail market. I will tell you on the Canna Busters side, the amount of product consumption depends strictly on how many exhausts we're treating. In a commercial setting, whether it be an outdoor grow or a greenhouse or an indoor grow, we're always going to treat air that's leaving the facility. So we work with, I don't know if I can say their name, but True Leaf. They have a 100,000 square foot grow in Florida, not far from Tallahassee. They could not get their final occupancy, even though it was built and they were up and running, until they brought us in.
Right.
Now, this building, you can't imagine standing on top of the roof and seeing how massive it is. But they have exhaust fans on the roof that are about 10 feet in diameter, big, huge, upside-down mushrooms. And there's 10 down this side and there's 10 down that side. And when the county came out and looked at the system and smelled what it was doing, signed them off. So those guys go through a lot of stuff because there's a lot of nozzles and a lot of odor. Yeah. It can be as small as a guy with one exhaust fan on the roof, and he's going to spend 35 cents an hour to treat that. And the challenge with indoor grows, everybody's growing inside of a box, in a big box. Right. And so most of the odor stays inside of the grow area, and then you're going to have some exhaust fans, but odor gets into the whole building. Right. And it's impossible to seal leaks on a building. So we use a little jujitsu reasoning. We say, why even mess with it? Let's create a little negative pressure inside, put all the air out one hole, put some nozzles on it, boom.
Magic.
We have overcome lawsuits twice in Oklahoma Yeah. Because if it works, it works.
Right. That's dope.
So one more thing that we do, and this is actually cool. The problem with commercial cannabis is that odor is the stick that local communities and governments use to drive weed out of town.
Exactly.
And the challenge is, how do you argue with it stinks? That's purely subjective. And everybody's got a nose, and everybody's nose works different, right? And so it really becomes a slippery space where there's no defense. We fixed it, though, because data and empirical measurement of odor will beat a nose in court any day of the week. And so that's the second part of what we do commercially. We treat the odor. And by the way, we didn't talk about outdoor growth, so just touch on that real quick. What we'll do is they'll always have a fence around the grow. We simply put a row of nozzles lined all the way around. We set it up so we can work with the wind. If the wind's blowing from this side to that side, we're always going to treat the downwind side. That's where the odor's going to go.
Right.
And while we don't have empirical data, I can tell you anecdotally, this is South Michigan. The local cannabis administrator and an outdoor grower, they got, at that point, 300 acres and the frontage along the road with neighbors directly across about 400 feet with about a 10-foot fence. Well, the administrator went out and interviewed all these neighbors. And they said, look, when that system is not running, it's horrible. But when it's on, it's good. And that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Just by fogging this product into the air, and as the wind blows across the crop through this fog, boom, that odor is just deleted.
That's wild. So, is it almost like it's temporarily like recreating rain almost?
Thank you for saying that, because literally it is the same recipe as rain. And so, yeah, it's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's oxidizing volatile organic compounds. If you want to know that, on the other side of the fence, we're talking about mercaptans, which is a smell. A mercaptan is actually what they add to natural gas so you can smell it, right? There's fatty acids, which is a brand of smell, and ammonia-based stuff. In fact, in the waste world, that's the demo. It's not weed on your finger. It's ammonia on a napkin under your nose. Ah, I'm awake, smelling salts.
Right.
And this product right on top of it, bam, gone. Which is, I would do trade shows. When we started in cannabis, we didn't figure out yet how to do a weed smell. So I did the demo with ammonia, and this guy walks away from my booth, and he's walking down the aisle going, he's trying to find the smell.
Yeah.
but it's gone because it's oxidized, it's dismantled.
That's
it will never smell again. By the way, my beautiful bride does not care that I enjoy smoking flower, but she doesn't want to smell me. So it's simple. This bottle, I take a quick little shower, head and shoulders, a few shots in the mouth, and there's peace in my house. Because if mama ain't happy, son.
That's right. You want a breezy wife. Get that Canna Breezy.
Yeah, many have been the thanks from husbands or wives about their significant other no longer smelling.
That's right.
It works.
Canna Breezy makes my life easy. Hey, see?
Clean your air like rain.
Look at that. See, we coming up with it already, yo.
What's next, boss?
Okay, I got a couple of quick shooter questions for you real quick. Okay, so give me your 3 favorite strains.
Wow. I can't.
You can't?
I am in the peculiar and blessed position to be in grows, and most often they will give me some of their flower on the way out the door. So I seldom have to buy flower. I enjoy what comes across my path.
That's
now, I've tried some of the smokable hemp in Texas, and it's not the same. It doesn't have as much psychoactivity, and honestly, being 65, I'm pretty healthy. I got some aches and pains, so it's not. I can't claim that I smoke flower because of medicinal. I just want to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's fun.
Just being honest.
No, I like getting ripped. Too Terp, there's a place for you. Man.
Here we go.
You came to the right place.
I love it. That's fun.
Yeah, it's funny. Okay, give me your top 5 dead or alive if you were to be in a smoke session and you could pick anybody. Who would it be?
Now that is a great question. Albert Einstein.
Okay. Ooh, that's a good one.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. It's a crowd favorite.
100%, right? Wow, top 5?
Yeah.
That's only 2. 40% done here. Let's see. You know, I was told as a young man by an authority figure, a pastor at the time. Mm-hmm. He looked at me and he said, "You know, Derek, you're a renegade." And to this day, I don't know if that's good or bad.
I think it's a good thing.
Roomy.
My perspective is a good thing.
Roomy would be the third one.
Roomy, okay.
And then, you know, somebody that's on the cutting edge of science and quantum technology. I find that stuff incredibly confusing, but fascinating. And understanding how it all works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be a pretty good lineup, huh?
Yeah.
I think that's only 4, but I'll go with 4.
I'll take it. Hey, I will take it. Okay. Give me your top 3 munchie snacks.
Oh, biltong.
What's that?
It's South African style jerky. But it's better.
Okay. Yeah, what's it made out of? Antelope or zebra?
Any meat.
Okay.
So growing up in South Africa, I've had, oh my gosh, probably 15 or 20 different kinds, but it's done differently. Jerky is very dry and hard, and biltong is a thicker slice that's air cured with vinegar and coriander and a wonderful mix of seasonings. So there's more chew and less fight. So, and it's pure protein. So
okay.
I'm an omnivore, but I am realizing the value of the protein side of the picture. I learned recently that when you eat vegetables, and everybody's talking about vegetables and you eat vegan and eat clean, vegetables actually have something called oxalates in them. Mm-hmm. What are they there for? To try to not be eaten. They make it disagreeable. So I don't know. I don't want to be unkind here, but people that are, I lived in an area where there was a lot of retired people, and there was a mother's market, very wholesome food. And these people were fit and trim and all looked pissed off because they were eating sawdust all the time.
Yup, mad as hell.
I said, no thanks, I'll pass.
So like, I've tried to eat more vegetables and stuff like that, but I'd be so mad if I tried to become a vegan because you're missing out on some of the world's best food. I
agree. I am an omnivore. I think the best way to do vegetables, honestly, and this is truly life changing, put them in the oven at 425 and get a crisp on them. Boom.
Game changer. Okay.
It also kills all the oxalates, so it's a little easier on your GI tract.
Okay. See,
you eat a lot of vegetables, like you spend time in the bathroom.
That's a fact.
And you go, I think this is good. It doesn't feel like great. I'm not sure.
Hey, that's why you need your foliage, Joe.
That's why I'm more carnivorous now. But honestly, shopping for snacks, I just can't. Once you realize that if you can't pronounce a word in the ingredients, you probably shouldn't be eating it.
That's real.
Shopping at the grocery store is hard to buy anything.
Yeah.
So
you got to stay on the outer lanes is what they say.
Oh, no, that's a thought. I never even thought about that. That's true, though. That's where your meat and dairy and veggies are.
Yeah, anything in that middle, you're asking for trouble.
The bakeries out there, though, you got to be careful. That's
that part. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Truth is, you're born and you die, and there's some time between, and what you do with that time is really up to each of us.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what's next? Honestly, nobody's really come back to tell us. But I don't know. From a young boy, I always just wanted to make the world a better place. where I can. Right?
Hell yeah.
So I'm
One
still
breeze
working,
at a
still
time.
working at it.
That's right. Nah, it's just one breeze at a time. That's all. Canna Breezy.
Back to Canna Breezy.
I done came up with about 20 slogans just off of this one episode.
It's so easy, right?
Yeah. You're going to cut me a check for one of these. One of these is going to be valuable. So
You know what? There is value in the product, and we will work together on it going forward. And, collaboration is the way.
definitely.
We all rise or sink together.
Yeah.
And I feel no need or see no reason to compete with anybody, especially since I have a one-off product that nobody else does. So it's pretty easy for me to say that.
That's right. I'm going to drop another one for you real quick. Drop a bomb on that. That's right.
That's a truth grenade right there.
That's right. In fact, we'll give you another sound one, too. Pew, pew, pew. That's right. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
Oh, man. Okay. So, do you have any other orders of business to take care of before we...
I just, and back to our general conversation today, I think we live in a time where, first of all, I am convinced that what Jesus said about truth is true, that the truth will set you free.
Yeah.
And I think we're living in a time when truth is reaching minds, eyes, and ears in ways that have never been possible in the world, resulting in people's eyes being opened at greater degrees. And I think this is a very deep time of change. And I'm just happy to be here for it.
No, that's a fact. Honestly, I know what I can say is I honestly did not I didn't know what to expect out of today. So once again, I'm gonna definitely thank the Flower Expo St. Louis today. That was I wouldn't have been able to meet Derek, man. This has been an amazing day, honestly. This was one of the things that I usually kind of feel some type of way about going to a lot of these events and stuff like that, because I always feel as though they're pretty hollow. You don't really get a whole lot of soul in them. It's a lot of people who are just kind of pushing something, and a lot of the times it's not necessarily even the people that are behind the brand. It's their representatives or something like that. And so to be able to really be able to meet the person behind the product and them actually have passion about it, and they're going up to the people and showing the product themselves and being proud and true behind it, that really caught my eye.
Thank you, sir.
Seriously, those are the things that I really find are that are life meaning and that mean the most to me with doing, entertainment in the cannabis industry. All of that are the people who they would do this regardless because it's something that they believe in. You were going up to random people, you're going up to anybody doing this. You don't have any,
exactly.
That's to me, but that's the passion and that's the hustle and the drive that you need. And that's really
hear a funny story.
Yeah.
So as you know, I've done many trade shows. I've slowed down a little bit. I'm only about 10 a year now. But when it gets busy and people are just walking by your booth, you want them to stop, right? And if they're not stopping, I would just call out to people randomly, "Hey, can I help you guys with any odor issues today?" The response is hilarious because everybody sort of stutter steps and thinks about what you said.
So
No, I took a shower today.
They're like, did he say I just stink?
It's so funny. But I get conversations out of it. So
that's funny, yo. That's a good one. That's fire, yo.
It's always like, no, but you can help him. He sneaks. There's always that guy too, right? That's funny.
Yo.
But seriously, folks, if you don't have Canna Breezy and you do enjoy flower, let me please advise you in your own self-interest to get some of this stuff because it will make you stealthy and undetected. I rent cars all the time in my travels. And of course I enjoy myself and my day and my flower. But I have no worries because the car smells like it just rained when I hand it back to them.
Yeah. Now that's how I see
That's
it.
real, right?
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm going to shut up because I just came up with something. So.
Oh, wait. That's for the next episode.
Nah, this is going to be something off. It's between me and you. We gonna work something out. I just can't, the ideas, man, they just be flowing.
It's good. It is good. This has been a very wonderful day, and I want to thank Flower Expo as well for the opportunity to meet real people.
Yeah.
And in my travels, as a vendor and as a commercial entity in the space, it's always a challenge because you talk about, well, a trade show, how much is that going to cost? When you begin to calculate the cost of the booth and the cost of the transport and the hotel and meals and entertainment, and, you know, a trade show can easily be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K. So how do you justify that? Well, used to be in earlier days, you'd leave MJ BizCon with a list of 60 or 80 or 100 conversations that some turned into business, a nice full sales funnel, right? Nowadays, if I leave a trade show with 12, 15 leads, it's been a good show. So I don't look for leads. I look for conversations.
Yeah.
Right? When you connect with people, that's when the magic unfolds.
That's a fact.
100%, right?
That is 1,000% true. That's what, yeah. If anything today, that's a true testament of that. I can definitely say that for sure.
Honestly, I showed up at that show and I looked around and I go, this was a bad idea. And then I met you guys and go, hey, it turned out to be a good idea.
It worked out. That's a fact. Hey, me and Mike, we walked in there. We didn't know what to expect because I had already kind of heard certain things beforehand.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm just keeping it 100. Like the way that this Missouri market works, you know, it's a very inclusive. It's very inclusive, unfortunately. And
cliquish.
So, exactly.
Yeah.
And so when somebody tries to bring something different to the community, a lot of the people who kind of run things around here, they stray away from that. But I feel a lot of that is because of fear, because, you know, it wasn't like what was brought was anything that wasn't of substance. As a matter of fact, a lot of these brands were very solid and, you know, they were very good people. So it just kind of disappoints me that, you know, what was how that all worked out, you know, how it worked. But at the end of the day, that's why I'm glad that, you know, you came on to my podcast and were able to.
Thank you for the honor, sir. It is my honor.
Thank
100%.
you. Seriously, because that's one of the issues that I've been having is, you know, because it is the way that it is around here. It's
insular,
hard for me to,
right?
Exactly.
So insular.
It's hard for me to get brands to come on here, especially ones that are, you know, in the corporate space. Like it's hard for me to be able to branch out to them or for them to even be able to come on because of the pressures or some of the things that, you know, might come along with coming on a show like this. So the fact that you came on, the fact that Flower Expo even invited me out, like those things mean a lot to me because that means there's a bigger picture to all of this, and it showed me that.
Yes, sir.
You know that?
And honestly, you talk about trade shows, and the industry is changing very rapidly.
Yes.
And what I'm finding in my experience is that I focus on newer markets that have just legalized.
Yep.
There's always a lot more energy around that because people are getting licensed. They need all the parts and pieces that go into making whatever they're doing. So, yeah, that's where I focus is in newer markets.
Got it.
And nowadays, I'm very selective about exhibiting. Exhibiting is a very costly thing to do. Boston NECAN, I just plugged you, is a huge show. It's coming up 24, 25 of April in Boston. Tons of energy, a lot of newer markets in the Northeast, in those New England states. So there's a lot of interest, a lot of buzz, a lot of energy. And NECAN does a great job because they will have a 2-day show with 5 hours each day. So instead of dragging out and being tired in the booth for 10 or 12 or 8 hours, it compresses the crowd. It really concentrates the energy, and it's just a lot of good buzz. Really? So if you're looking at a show, NECAN Boston is one I would attend.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll get some good exposure there.
Hey.
And then you can come out and hang at my booth too.
That's a fact.
Yeah, I got a brand new booth, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's cool. You'll see it there.
Okay. You already know. Yeah, I'm going to have to pop up for real, though. I'm trying to get outside like this year. That's the one thing I was talking to Mike about is this year is all about trying to get outside of the city and really just,
Out of the Missouri market.
That part.
Get a bigger view.
Yeah.
A wider view.
Yeah, exactly. Figure out what all this country has to offer when it comes to the beautiful plant and entertainment shit.
Well, you said country, and let's not confuse that with government because government is not a friend to the plant.
That is a fact.
But the plant will endure, my friends.
Always has.
Because the people of the plant are here.
That's right. Always has and always will.
Do you realize this, that in the Bible, when you go back and look in the Old Testament where God gives Moses the recipe for the anointing oil, one of the ingredients is cannabis.
They was blowing terpenes, yo. That's how he really parted the sea.
I don't know, but it was part of it. So everything that was holy and it needed to be anointed, you got some cannabis on you, son. Cannabinoids are where it's at.
That's right. That's
God
right.
knew that. He gave that to Moses.
That's a fact. God did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's real.
We're doing God's work here.
That's right. Hey, that might be the title of the episode.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
What fun.
That's a fact. All right, let them know where to find you at.
Okay, so www.cannabreezy.com is where you can order your very own bottle. And by the way, this 2-ounce unit is $5.
Ooh.
I've got a 32-ounce pump spray also ready to use, and it's $20. And if you really like the product, you can buy a gallon of concentrate and mix it to your own dilution ratio. This is 10%. You can go all the way up to 20 or 25 or 30% and still get perfect odor elimination. And by the way, home growers, shout out to y'all. Carry on, but odor's a problem. This product in a diffuser will make your room smell like it just rained all the time. Keep it outside your tent. Put it over in the corner of a room. But here's a story to show, right? Mm-hmm. Moved from California to Texas, middle of summer, 4.5 years ago, and turned on the air conditioning in the house. And death and decay arose from that ductwork. It was vile. And so I said, wait. In a diffuser on the floor by the return duct, and I laid down to sleep. I woke up in the morning and I said, wait a minute. I cleared my mind and I said, I love my product. It smelled like it rained in the whole house. Yo.
That's fire.
So instead of a smelly candle or poopery or another fragrance, in a diffuser, and nobody will come knocking on what you got going in your closet there, son.
That's right. You can keep your secret layers secret.
And it should be. It's nobody's business.
That's right.
So whether you're growing at home or larger, now you know a guy.
Canna Breezy. Makes your life easy.
Honestly, the byline for the parent company is we make life better. Who can't like that, right?
That's right. I love it.
I love it too.
Hell yeah. This has really been fun, for real, for real.
It has been my honor, sir. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
You know, it's not often that you find a younger man
Thank you.
with enough understanding, I guess is the word, to actually listen. I mean, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Yeah. I have to remind myself of it often.
Myself. Don't get it twisted. Hey.
But you seek out, voices that can help you rise. And that's what we're here to do, help each other rise. So I rise and call you blessed, my brother.
Thank you. For sure. All right. Y'all already know where to find us at. Make sure you follow Too T3rpd on YouTube, all audio platforms. Make sure you follow TooFunnyProductions.com. And don't forget to follow me, Donovan2408, on all social media platforms. Man, this has been amazing. Nah, you the man. For real.
I'm just an old guy.
Hey, that's still a man.
Thank you, sir.
But y'all already know it's been a good one. And we'll see y'all again next week. Peace.
Yeah, peace out, yo.
It's Too T3rpd.